right, let's now turn our attention to politics. And I'm sure all of you, of course, are very familiar with the results of the assembly elections last week, where the BJP swept those three states in the Hindi heartland, the Congress picking up Telangana, and a regional party winning in Mizoram. But now the big question is, what does all of this mean for 2024? What does it mean, for example, for the India alliance? And that perhaps was one of the high points of the India alliance, all on one stage, saying we're going to come together and take on the BJP and throw the BJP out in 2024. Been a bit more rocky since then. Many members of that alliance have accused the Congress party of not being proactive in the entire build-up to the assembly elections, not being responsive to seat sharing. Then you have certain members of that alliance who've been making statements about the north-south divide, for example, which have led to a lot of controversy, have annoyed other members of the alliance. There was supposed to have been a meeting on the 6th. It was postponed. So things are obviously not very well right now in the opposition, and it's a bad time for things not to be well in the Indian opposition, because there's a very big general election coming and they are up against a really formidable opponent in Narendra Modi, someone who's riding particularly high after the state elections. So where do we go from here as a country? What's the BJP going to do? What's the opposition going to do? And what does all of this mean for 2024? Well, let me just throw this straight to some of the experts now. So joining us for a lot more on that, Shazia Ilmi, spokesperson of the BJP, Anshul Avijit is with us, national spokesperson of the Congress party, Mr. A Saravanan, spokesperson of the DMK, is joining us in just a couple of minutes, and Neerja Chowdhury, political analyst, with us as well. Let me start with you, Shazia, because obviously you've got a smile on your face, which is going to keep on getting wider, I think, as this conversation goes on. Were you really expecting this sort of a victory, and with that sort of a margin, all three heartland states?
Well, I was on your show, Vikram, and I did say that we will get full support from the people of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, and we will have absolute, we will be in the clear, and we will have majority and clear wins in all the three states. And that's exactly what's happened. It's been a clear win. Yes, the margins are huge and very encouraging, and just goes on to show that, Modi guarantee matters.
Anshul, if I could turn to you, the points that Shazia makes, you have to consider what actually happened in 2018 and 19 to sort of look at the situation of the Congress party and others find themselves, especially when it comes to the heartland. Yes, the Congress party won in Telangana, and that is something I'm going to talk about, what's happening in the south. But in the heartland, let's remember 2018 to 2019, there was almost an 8 or 10 percentage point jump once Narendra Modi comes on the ticket, once it becomes a question of making Narendra Modi the Prime Minister. That's what happened 18 to 19. So if you look at Madhya Pradesh at 48% right now, Chhattisgarh with 46% for the BJP, Rajasthan 42% for the BJP. You add 10 percentage points to that, it looks as if the BJP is again heading for a sweep across the Hindi heartland. Would that be a fair summary to make of these assembly elections?
No, absolutely not. I mean, if you go by the 2018 elections, then the reversal happened. So if that is any indication, then the India alliance is all set to win the Hindi heartland.
No, hang on. The reversal happened. The reversal happened because the Congress had won assembly elections. Then you added the Narendra Modi factor to that when it came to the general election, and the BJP got 10% more. There's no reason that in a general election, when you have the Narendra Modi factor being added to it, the BJP will not get extra vote share. It's not going to be detracted from it, at least not on the basis of anything we've seen so far.
Sure. You're making a qualitative point. I was making a statistical point. Look, it doesn't matter. Look, the India alliance is, I believe, to be a strong alliance, and an alliance that can counter the BJP or the whatever you call the Modi factor. One thing very heartening is, and I don't think we're clutching at straws, is that the vote percentage in all these three states, despite the reversal, has remained consistent at round about 40% or thereabouts. which means that the welfareism which Modi, which the Prime Minister has contorted or used a distasteful word like rabidi always, has actually worked in that area. So there was no sort of anti-incumbency in Chhattisgarh or in Rajasthan. There was a setback in Madhya Pradesh. We'll address that setback, but I think that over and above, and even when you consider the popular vote, something that is very heartening to our cadres, you take what you get in an election, is that we've got more of the popular vote, about 10 lakh more than the BJP has got overall.
Look, let's face it, when you look at 2019 and look at that for 2024, BJP pretty much reached saturation in the heartland states. Some analysis has been done to say, even if the BJP starts losing 3 seats here or 3 seats there, the Congress vote was consolidated in certain seats. So purely on that basis, they would be winning some seats. You probably need to figure, if the question is really going to be, is the BJP going to be dropping seats or not from that 303? And if so, by how much? It was a sweep in the heartland, as I'm saying once again, last time around. So it's only yours to lose seats from there.
Yes. So Vikram, first things first, talking about a guarantee. Yes, everybody makes promises. So there are pre-election softs and there are budgetary allocations and there is management of the economy, which you've seen how well BJP is done there where that is concerned. But and that is what I was talking about, the credibility of one party over the others in terms of delivery and and to ensure better mechanisms to ensure the delivery of all the promises that are made by all parties at all times. And now let's look at if you look at 2019 elections, so BJP won more than 105 seats and actually won 105 seats with a margin of 3 lakh votes. Now, if you look at convert this victory also that we have in the 3 big states, and we keep calling it Hindi heartland as if almost like some people use it as a pejorative, as if, there is something wrong with being part of the Hindi heartland. But I really would like to ask the alliance partners if they are there. I mean, it seems like it's going to be, and then there were none, the way they all seem to be parting ways.
Okay, let me throw that question.
How do they take DMK's clear aversion to not just Sanatan, but Hindus, Brahmins, Hindi, and all that is part of Hindutva?
2 questions, Anshul, which I think are fair to ask. Number 1, the India alliance was almost sort of put on the back burner for 2-3 months. I think the Congress party was hoping to get a really good performance in these state assembly elections so that it would have a good bargaining position. As it turns out, you're going to be going in for seat-sharing discussions with the India alliance on a slightly back foot. So question number 1, will there actually be a concrete seat-sharing agreement and a common minimum program that the India alliance will be able to work out to take on the BJP?
What you say, what was the interregnum was necessary because the elections were taking place. We had to fight those elections with all kinds of, with all focus. So that was something that, could really be avoided. As soon as the elections got over, we said, no, we're going to regroup and we're going to meet. Look, they will, in the heat of elections, things are said. That has always been the case. I'll give you the example of the UPA, where so many things were said. There were differences between parties, but that didn't prevent a coalition, a robust coalition from being in this country, from being in power for 10 years, which gave a strong economy of an average of over 8%, which was really a gift to this government, which was precipitously plummeted to minus 6.6 or 7 point something. And now the economy since then has been really thrown under the bus. We're still struggling to recover. So I'll give you the example.
True. That is not true.
Shazia, I'll give you an answer. No. It's absolutely true that it went into negative. And, by demonetization, which was an economic act of economic violence against this country, there was a precipitous decline in the growth rate of the economy. That is absolutely true. These are government figures.
All right.
No, I'm just saying
so after
that,
the demonetization,
that the coalition government
BJP won in UP with huge numbers. And not just that, if you look at the growth rate now, we're looking at a 7% growth rate.
At this point of time,
it's the fastest growing economy in the world.
Base effect.
Anshul, no matter what you say, you can get into semantics and all kinds of analysis. The fact of the matter is, it's the fastest growing economy.
There is no doubt. I understand. My larger point is that we ran a coalition government, which one has cast so many doubts about, and one is hasty among various sections to write its obituary, ran a particular strong coalition government for 10 years.
Okay.
That's the
But
statement
Anshul,
of
that's
fact.
a point. Anshul, that's a point. Maybe people want a decisive government in power. And a
We had
decisive
one.
leader in power.
And that was the
Then
moment of India
coalition,
shining,
Then
Shazia.
the ragtag coalition politics. Then the ragtag coalition
But we got
politics,
voted
which
again.
has its own compulsions.
The second time
and
round,
its own
how do you explain
pitfalls,
UPA 2 then?
With all pitfalls
All
of
right.
a coalition
Neerja-
government and all the pulls and pressures of a coalition government.
All right, let me just get the others into this particular discussion, Shazia and Anshul, just for a sec. Neerja, analyze this for us, right? I mean, obviously, major setback for the Congress party. BJP looking particularly buoyant right now, and everyone's saying that it's now a smooth sailing to 2024. A couple of commentators coming and saying, no, hang on, there's still some months to go, things could happen, maybe the alliance will come up, maybe there'll be seat sharing. Is it a given that it's Narendra Modi back for a third term? And if it's not a given, why is it not a given? What could the opposition do to change the game?
Well, I was thinking of 1971 when somebody had asked Indira Gandhi before the elections, what is the issue in this election? A foreign journalist had posed that question. She said, I am the issue. 1980, again, this question was asked of her, and she is the issue. Now, today, Narendra Modi is the issue. In any election, whether it's state elections or national election, it is the Prime Minister's face. And I agree with Shazia. There is an element of trust. Trust is the right word. What is encapsulated in that slogan, Modi's guarantee.
Neerja, if I could just understand what you're saying, Neerja, if I could understand what you're saying, if it becomes a referendum on Narendra Modi, there's no signs that Narendra Modi's popularity is any lower than it was. If anything, it might well have increased. So if it becomes a referendum on Narendra Modi, he's going to win rather comfortably. The opposition's only way to handle this is to not allow it to be a referendum on him. Tougher to do in a general election, I guess.
Yes, absolutely tougher to do it. And it is, I can't remember any Prime Minister continuing to be popular at the end of 10 years. Leave Nehru out, but even by 52, he won 62. His health was not good. He won the election. Yeah. Indira Gandhi, 67, won the election, 77 rout. Manmohan Singh, they won the election very unexpectedly, 2004, 2014 out. So it is, I agree with you, it is around Narendra Modi, his politics, his persona, his whatever, his PMO and the way he rules, etc., etc. Now, what does the India Alliance do to counter it? How do they, whether it's the narrative, they are not clear. They are doing temple hopping, but it's not having, what Kamal Nath put into motion or with along with social welfareism.
Okay.
But this side has to get its narrative right. And I must say this was disappointing. Hours after the defeat, the regional parties are mounting an attack on the Congress party. Astonishing. A member
All
of
right,
the
Neerja, let me throw that.
If there's failure, they hold their hands. They can slug it out within the four walls of a room.
All right, Mr. Saravanan.
Goes out to the country.
All right, Mr. Saravanan, let me throw that to you. What happens to the India alliance now? As Neerja was just saying, in a sense, agreeing with what Shazia is saying, it's about the personality of Narendra Modi. There's a lot of confidence. Tough to see how that's going to be overwritten in 3 or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months by the opposition. In the aftermath of this defeat, we've seen a couple of things happening which are showing just how difficult the situation actually is for the India Alliance. Number one, the bickering which is going to now be taking place over seat sharing. We've already seen the first shots being fired. And certainly the job of the parties in North India, the Congress or anyone to take on the BJP there is not going to be made simpler by, for example, DMK MPs coming out and making, calling the north of India, Gaubutra states. Statements like that are certainly going to only give Shazia an even bigger smile on her face than she does right now.
Yeah, see, if you look at these 3 state elections where the BJP has won, see, we can perfectly understand what's happened in Rajasthan and what's happened in Chhattisgarh, because anti-incumbency, people choose to ignore the party in power. They want to change. So this is perfectly understandable. But the Congress should have won Madhya Pradesh. I don't know why they have not done that. See, another problem is this. If the Congress is going to peddle soft Hindutva, people are not going to vote for them, because BJP is there, which is the bigger Hindutva brother, which does it in a better way. So Mr. Rahul Gandhi has set the narrative in a proper way. OBC reservation, he has said the ceiling should, reservation ceiling should go up. See, that is the way. In Bihar, they have done that. There is no point, there is no logic in fighting the BJP where it is stronger. And the BJP is a party which is not bothered about the other Hindus. The BJP is a party for the upper caste Hindus. And that is how they have done that. And that is where the Congress has to take a leaf out of the book of the DMK or the Dravidian ideology and fight for social justice.
Okay, so let me just ask you, Mr.
Yes.
Saravanan, in Tamil Nadu, of course, seat sharing will presumably be worked out because it's been done many times in the past. Two specific questions let me throw to you. Number one, do you think the India alliance will be able to put together a seat sharing agreement? Point number one. Point number two, do you think you will be able to agree on a common manifesto or common action plan, actual charter of action that you can take to the nation and saying, well, the BJP is going to do this, we are going to do the other? Because just attacking the personality of the Prime Minister may not necessarily get you too far.
Yeah, see, you're right. See, we were able to do that. We will be able to do that because we have been doing this for so long, at least the DMK party from 1967, when we have started winning elections. See, it started coming to power. It's all about rainbow coalitions. See, one of the reasons is that it makes inclusive. See, you cannot represent the wide, varied interest and aspirations of every section of the population. One party or two parties cannot do that. That is why we have coalitions. If you look at the silver lining of these 3 state elections, it's just a thin margin. It's not the persona of Mr. Narendra Modi, which has won the election for the BJP. It is the nitty-gritty on the ground level. It is the ensuring that the other votes does not come to Congress. Probably the Congress should have had an alliance, then the results would have been different. So this is not just Mr. Narendra Modi becoming invincible. That is not the situation on the ground.
All
so
right,
we are very
fine.
confident that we'll be able to dethrone them.
All right, I mean, yes and no. If the BJP is getting 48%, even if the opposition comes together, it's tough to win those sort of seats. But very quickly, we are out of time. We're just going to get a 1 line, 2 line from the others to sort of wrap up out here. Anshul, very, very quickly, do you think, how confident are you that, yes, seat sharing will be done and an agenda will be drawn up, and that the Congress will be perhaps somewhat chastened enough to say we need to listen to others and take everyone with us?
There is no question of any arrogance. We know what our motive, what the goal is, what the target is. We have no choice except to come together, and we will. I mean, all these comments aside that usually happen in politics, after all, not to forget that this is politics. And I think it's actually good for the alliance when apprehensions are openly articulated or expressed. I don't think there's anything bad in it. Why shouldn't there be? We will come together, and after that, we will have a common minimum program and we will win this election.
All right, Neerja, very quickly, the thing we've just heard from both the DMK and the Congress, there is no choice now. Paradoxically, could that be something that does hold the India alliance together? Because they, I think, probably realize there's very little choice right now. They are staring at something in the face and there's little choice for them to try and figure out what to do and do it together.
Yes, absolutely. I think they have no option but to come together. And the secret is going to be to have one-on-one contests against the BJP in the 400 Lok Sabha seats that they have already earmarked. But, the opposition tends to get very demoralized very quickly. Of course, there is a formidable foe on the other side. No doubt about that. But I think there is simply no option but for them to come together.
All right, Shazia, is that something that would concern the BJP at all? That, obviously you're riding high right now, but in a position where the opposition has no choice but to try and do things differently or try and come together. BJP is not known to be a party that is complacent in any way or to sit back on its laurels. So presumably you're still proceeding on trying to figure out what the answers to that are.
Yes, on the contrary, and I would like to say very humbly and submit to all of you that whilst the INDI alliance has little choice, people of India have a choice, and that choice clearly is Narendra Modi and BJP. Neerja ji was talking about the slugfest that went on after the defeat or the debacle that the three states saw. Even during the elections, they were calling each other out. And we know what the kind of words Akhilesh Yadav and Nitish ji have had to say for Rahul Gandhi. And not just that, even after now the newly elected, Chief Minister of Telangana, the comments he makes about KCR and insults Biharis and Bihari DNA, how does that work well for INDA Alliance, which clearly has little choice but to huddle together? How does it go well for their cadres and their ranks to be insulted so?
I guess those are all questions that will have to be seen, and let's wait for the next big meeting of the India Alliance to see what actually happens out there. Thank you all so much for joining us. Really interesting to... Yeah, sorry, you're quickly saying one last word?
Yes, yeah. See, the BJP, the common man is totally disappointed with the BJP. It is their machinations that is winning them the election.
If they were so disappointed, why are they voting for them again and again, Mr. Saravanan? It's easy to say the common man is disappointed. 48% of people voted for them in Madhya Pradesh.
What? Hello?
I'm saying if the people are so disappointed, why are they voting for them again and again?
See, that is what Madhya Pradesh is a different ball game. That's what the Congress has to really introspect. But I'm speaking about in Rajasthan, in Chhattisgarh, in Karnataka, in Maharashtra. You think everybody are so happy with the Congress? Sorry, with the BJP? If they are so happy, what share would have been different?
Well, the India Alliance partners are definitely not happy with you.
They were not able to do that.
India Alliance partners are definitely not happy with you. I don't know about the country.
Honey is flowing on the roads.
But the Alliance partners are not happy with you at all.
The vote percentage says it all for everybody.
All right, I'm going to call it a truce.
Well within the BJP, they are not even able to select their chief ministers.
All right, I'm going to call it a truce on this particular episode of the India story, and we'll come back to it. This is we've heard a lot of the points. Interesting roadmaps being laid out there, interesting points being made out there, which will be crucial. The next 3 to 4 months promise to be really interesting and crucial, a crucial time in India. Will the fact that Narendra Modi is riding high right now, will he be able to make it a referendum on himself and therefore sweep the election in 2024? Or will the opposition actually find the ability and the chance to come together in a meaningful manner in the next few weeks and perhaps have a rival agenda? Well, as the famous cliche says, only time will tell.